Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what do you believe is the greatest threat to humanity? You know you've been a member of this sub for too long when you could name the top 5 answers without even clicking on the thread. Edit: yes, I'm well aware I did not predict the Pringles comment. I mockingly said humanity opening this thread. Fuck this place. I hate this site. I'm addicted, but darn do I miss old Reddit. Yes, there was worse content that needed to be removed. Fucked up disgusting stuff like jailbait, and the very racist one comparing black people to a certain animal, etc. But that time also was a less curated, less gamed, less political, more random form of Reddit. Reddit now is a rotating list of COVID news, political news, usually involving Trump, crypto news, GME/meme stock news, wealth inequality, feet. Appearances by Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, bad corporations, climate issues, pretty people with photorealistic art, somebody playing guitar on the live video player, occasionally a gecko therapist, something about Marvel or Star Wars, something to do with whatever is happening in sports, NFL/Formula 1/tennis/ whichever sport is having their big games. This is interspliced with whatever global event is making big news at the moment, so we see a lot of space posts because of the JW telescope. But it all feels like the front page is gamed by social media core battling for attention. I don't think it's all bots, but it does feel too polished and artificial. Everything is polarized, echo chambers are intensifying, and we're all fermenting in this. Back then it was a little more raw, kind of like video games back when everyone played them, but it was uncool to admit it. You had some shitty. Back then you would get spontaneous and neat stuff. Trivial but kind of interesting. Things were less intense, less curated. Bad corners existed, bad areas that became the echo chambers of the future, but at that point in time, the internet was a little nicer. You could go on there and you might hate it or be disgusted by it, but it didn't feel like a spiritual battleground. There was just a nice layer of innocence and more organic content, even though it was lower quality. It's hard to describe, but I miss the internet between 2005 to 2015. It went from a city park to an amusement park. Somehow better but way more artificial. I'd be shocked if James Corden wasn't one of the answers. Pringles. One pop and you cannot stop. I can't fit my hand inside a Pringle can. I have a huge amount of trouble fitting my hand inside of a Pringle can. I can get my hand like 4 inches into the can, but then I have to tilt the can into my mouth, but by that point a bunch of crumbs have accumulated at the bottom of the can, so they all go spilling on my face. I wanna have a daughter. Ignorance, and more recently, the enshrining of ignorance as a valid and even popular state of being. We are damning our futures by allowing the lowest intellects and least self-aware to dictate what books are too crass, or what subjects too taboo. Reminds me of this. There is a cult of ignorance in the United States, and there has always been. The strain of anti-intellectualism has been a constant thread winding its way through our political and cultural life, nurtured by the false notion that democracy means that my ignorance is just as good as your knowledge. Isaac Asimov. And just apply to the world instead of just the us. Humanity. We will be our ultimate downfall. In high school I once voiced the theory that cutting down trees is good for the environment. If we just cut down enough of them, humans won't have enough air to breathe and die. That would be pretty awesome for nature. People didn't quite like my argumentation. Humans, mammals in general, birds, fish. We had a good run. The dawning of the age of fungus that consumes plastic and radiation is upon us. Double unskippable ads on YouTube. Good news for you then, because the biggest threat to humanity can apparently be easily mitigated by an ad blocker. On a browser or Android device, sure. Good luck if you're watching on a smart TV or a faux/iPod. Me. This guy. Let's get him. Greed/selfishness. It seems to motivate 99% of the problems we see in society. Greed passing as normal corporate behavior flies under the radar. Actually, greed is mandatory and legally enforced. A CEO can get fired and sued for making any decision clearly counter to maximizing profit for company shareholders. There is a great documentary called The Corporation that has some incredibly eye-opening stories about this. Bacterial resistance to antibiotics. Yay, it's crazy how this is a leading cause of death worldwide and yet there seems to be little publicity about it. I guess there's not a lot the public can do, so no point in spreading fear. There are a couple of very important things the public can do. Take your entire course of antibiotics and don't quit when you feel better. Don't take a couple of random old antibiotics you have around the house when you get sick. Don't drag your kid to the doctor and insist they are given unneeded antibiotics. Doctors, don't overprescribe them. The risk of spreading fear never stopped most media outlets before. Human carelessness and natural disasters. Apathy towards such carelessness compounds the problem too. A direct hit by a strong coronal mass ejection. Edit, spelling. I hate when ejaculation autocorrects to ejection. Sigh. Infinite cum. You sit on the toilet to jack off, but you begin to cum uncontrollably. After 10 spurts you start to worry. Your hand is sticky and it reeks of semen. You desperately shove your dick into a wad of toilet paper, but that only makes your balls hurt. The cum accelerates. It's been 3 minutes. You can't stop coming. Your bathroom floor is covered in a thin layer of baby fluid. You try to come into the shower drain but it builds up too fast. You try the toilet. The cum is too thick to be flushed. You lock the bathroom door to prevent the cum from escaping. The air grows hot and humid from the cum. The cum accelerates. You slip and fall in your own sperm. The cum is now 6 inches deep, almost as long as your still erect semen hose. Sprawled on your back, you begin to cum all over the ceiling. Globs of the sticky white fluid begin to fall like raindrops, giving you a facial with your own cum. The cum accelerates. You struggle to stand as the force of the cum begins to propel you backwards as if you were on a buckache-themed slip and slide. Still on your knees, the cum is now at chin height. To avoid drowning you open the bathroom door. The deluge of man juice reminds you of the Great Molasses Flood of 1919, only with cum instead of molasses. The cum accelerates. It's been 2 hours. Your children and wife scream in terror as their bodies are engulfed by the snow-white sludge. Your youngest child goes under, with viscous bubbles and muffled cries rising from the goop. You plead to God to end your suffering. The cum accelerates. You squeeze your dick to stop the cum, but it begins to leak out of your asshole instead. You let go. The force of the cum tears your urethra open, leaving only a gaping hole in your crotch that spews semen. Your body picks up speed as it slides backwards along the cum. You smash through the wall, hurtling into the sky at 30 miles an hour. From a bird's eye view you see your house is completely white. Your neighbor calls the cops. The cum accelerates. As you continue to ascend, you spot police cars racing towards your house. The cops pull out their guns and take aim, but stray loads of cum hit them in the eyes, blinding them. The cum accelerates. You are now at an altitude of 1,000 feet. The SWAT team arrives. Military helicopters circle you. Hundreds of bullets pierce your body at once, yet you stay conscious. Your testicles have now grown into a substitute brain. The cum accelerates. It has been 2 days. With your body now destroyed, the cum begins to spray in all directions. You break the sound barrier. The government deploys fighter jets to chase you down, but the impact of your cum sends one plane crashing to the ground. The government decides to let you leave the Earth. You feel your gonads start to burn up as you reach the edges of the atmosphere. You narrowly miss the ISS, giving it a new white paint job as you fly past. Physicists struggle to calculate your erratic trajectory. The cum accelerates. The cum begins to gravitate towards itself, forming a comet trail of semen. Astronomers begin calling you the comet. You are stuck in space forever, stripped of your body and senses, forced to endure an eternity of cum shots. Eventually, you stop thinking. Our own stupidity and arrogance. Too many people. Not enough humans. Quite a paradoxical thought, since denying other people's humanity is itself inhumane. Man, bear, pig. Half man, half bear, half pig. No, it's half pig, half bear. 2 things. How dense the population is. How dense the population is. Consumer culture. Needless consumption destroys the environment. Collectively we need to take a more measured approach to this based on needs, not wants. Militarized guerrilla cyborgs. Harenborg. It's all politically hot to answer humanity, but if we're being honest here, viruses or bacteria are probably going to end human civilization as we know it at some point. There are already 2 known bacterial strains that resist every single antibiotic we have. And they evolve hundreds of thousands of times faster than we do. You don't have to be smart if you exist in the quadrillions and you're trying out a billion kill strategies an hour. Eventually one of them will pop up with a mutation that makes it 100 times more infectious than SARS-CoV-2, 100 times more lethal, and has a long incubation period, so we don't even know to protect ourselves until 99% of us are already infected. Maybe not this year or next. Maybe not in our lifetimes. But an indescribably nasty bug is going to appear, and it will kill most of us. Someone has been playing too much Plague Incorporated. Has that game released an update yet so that when the vaccine is developed, a certain percentage of the population simply refuses to take it, and others are hesitant, giving you time to develop resistance to the vaccine? Someone really has been playing too much Plague Incorporated. Let's hope bacteriophages have our backs. Bacteriophages really are the homies. They do genocide for breakfast, killing 40% of all bacteria a day. Despite all my rag, I am still a bacteriophage. Humanity survived for hundreds of thousands of years without any antibiotics. Losing that again would result in lowered life expectancy and the possibility of some misery and loss of technology and culture, but we're unlikely to face full extinction from a disease alone. In extinctions where disease is involved, it's usually one of the last straws pushing out an organism already on the way out due to loss of habitat or some other much bigger factor. While it's possible that some disease may emerge with high infectivity, high lethality, a long incubation period, and no warning that it's out there before it gets widespread, it's very unlikely, and we're going to be way more prepared the next time a pandemic disease comes around. We've got far more likely and more preventable issues to worry about, like climate change. You're mostly on the mark. And yes, climate change is the most immediate predictable danger. But climate change isn't likely to kill us all in short order. Society might collapse and huge wars will be fought over arable land, but even the most dire climate change predictions don't indicate our extinction. Life will really, really suck, and every last one of us will rue the day we didn't do everything in our power to prevent it, but a large percentage of us would survive. In misery. Well, if they didn't kill us so far, I would say their chances are decreasing the more advanced we get. We got over plague in a time we had no conception about viruses and bacteria. Now that we can see what's killing us, I think we stand a much better chance. Yeah, I'd say there's little to no chance of this happening in the wild naturally. AIDS was pretty much the worst naturally created thing we could have imagined, and if it had hit a few hundred years earlier it might have wiped out a very significant portion of the population. I believe of only 2 known cases of self-curing. Of course, an intentionally weaponized virus would be another story.